And we are live with Common Grounds podcast tonight. I'm your host, Chris Greenfield from Roasters Marketplace, your source for everything coffee related when it comes to single origin, fresh roasted coffee. You can find us at roastersmarketplace.com. Tonight, I'm really excited. I've been excited all day since I talked to Nikki this morning to bring on somebody of your caliber and your energy. And I've got the timer going so we won't run over time. We've had a really good day today. I met your beautiful granddaughter online earlier. What's her name?
Miss Baylor.
Miss Baylor this morning. And we had a great conversation. So, Nikki, you know way more about yourself than I know about you. So if you will, go ahead and give us the who, what, when, and where. A little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And how you got into the energy bus for schools.
Okay, wow, you want me to go way back. Okay, well, I grew up right here in Texas, in East Texas, as a matter of fact, Karnak. Have you heard of Karnak, Texas?
I'm going to have to Google that one.
Yeah, right outside of Marshall, but in a small little town in East Texas. Graduated from Karnak High School, and I would describe myself as a young girl as being really shy, but around my family, I came to life. I was an entertainer. I love to entertain my family because I love people being around. And so I felt like in order to keep my family coming around, and I'm talking about my extended family, like cousins and aunts and uncles, and when they come around, I would just come to life and be the entertainer and make them laugh and make them want to be around me. I graduated from high school and went on to graduate from college, graduated from University of Pittsburgh College, and majored in psychology. Went back to school and got my master's degree and majored in education. Went back and graduated from University of Texas and got my degree as an administrator for a principal certification. And so I've been in education for a number of years, at least 20 years now, in various capacities. And I just love it. I love children. I love families. I love the whole spectrum of education and working with people and service in general. You want me to keep going? So let's see. So after graduating from University of Pittsburgh and getting my degree as a principal, I went back and became an assistant principal. I've done a lot of work with Head Start organizations. My girls are graduates of Head Start. I was a former Head Start teacher, so I did some work with Head Start. Went back, became a principal recently, and left my job as principal in 2016 to pursue starting my own business along with Jon Gordon, the author of The Energy Bus. And it's our business is the Energy Bus for Schools Leadership Journey. So I hope all of that made sense. You had to go way back.
I'm going to put the y'all's website up on the screen right now for anybody that's interested in it that doesn't know. And we are broadcasting tonight on my two Facebook pages, as well as my YouTube channel and your Facebook page for the Energy Bus for School Leadership Journey.
Awesome.
Which is an awesome way to be able to share your story, not only with your own audience, but my audience as well, which is a really cool thing about this platform and how we're doing it. When you were a principal, what school district were you at?
I was at Fort Bend ISD, right here in I was going to say right here, but I live in Montgomery, but in Sugar Land.
Right in the greater Houston area.
Yeah.
For those I've got viewers from all over the country, and sometimes they don't understand that you can fit Connecticut inside the greater Houston area. And sometimes it could take you, 2 or 3 hours to get from where you're talking about living to where you're talking about teaching at or being principal at. I mean, it's on the other side of the greater metropolitan area.
Yeah.
How many students were in your district
In my district
or in your school?
In my school,
Yeah.
I think at the time I was there, I'm going to say a little under 600. We had a small community, but recently I was able to visit some schools in Colorado, and they had maybe under 300 students. So I thought my school was small, but there's some really small schools out there. So we had about a little under 600 students.
Okay. I graduated. My graduating class in high school was 27 people.
Really?
When I graduated, yes.
Well, guess what? I got you beat, Chris, because I think our graduating class had maybe 15 to 20. Oh. I know we had under. Yeah, we had a very small class from Karnak, Texas. Shout out to my friends out there from Karnak.
We went to my third year of college. Well, that was my senior year, but my almost my last year of school, when I kind of started dabbling into the education side of it, I went and student taught for a day at College Park High School here in Conroe, in the Woodlands. And, they've got like 9,000 students. I mean,
wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's more than my entire hometown of the hometown that was close enough to my hometown that I would tell people that I was from, because it actually had a population.
Wow.
That was a craziness to see that many people in one place for school, that is.
Yeah.
And so
crazy.
When you decide to leave, tell us the story about your transformation, from principal to the dream of the small business and your mission, and how you came up with that.
Okay. Well, I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. Even when I worked in my school as a teacher, no matter what capacity, I was always looking to differentiate myself in some way. And I think the people that have worked with me know that. I'm always looking for ways to differentiate. And so as a principal, culture was really important to me, not only as a principal, but also as a teacher, even as a parent, because culture does not begin the moment you walk into a building. Culture actually begins in our homes. And so I've always been passionate with working with children and families and creating an experience where people feel valued, they feel appreciated, and they want to contribute. And so as I was working as a principal, I was using some concepts in my school which dramatically transformed the culture. And we started to see that our students were starting to align to the same language. We were using common language. We had common practices. And students were really engaged in the concepts that we were using from a very popular book, which I won't mention. But then I was contacted by the company of the book that I was using, and they said that we couldn't use those concepts unless we bought into that program. And that program was like $80,000 over 4 years. And I just remember, Chris, feeling like really just devastated that, someone was telling the school that we couldn't use a book. But anyway, I don't give up very easily. I contacted my district lawyers, and we were going back and forth with, hey, I purchased books for every teacher. Why can't I use these things? Because we had the language plastered all over the school. We had banners. Our students were using the language. We were just having a lot of fun with the concepts because it did bring us together as a community. So anyway, long story short, the district ended up saying to me, Nikki, if they're saying that you can't use it, you can't use it. And so I knew I had to go back to the drawing board and think of, okay, so now what can we do? And so a number of thoughts entered my mind, but I remember sitting in my car, and it was a Sunday evening, and just strolling through my phone, and I was on my LinkedIn page, and I had added a bunch of authors, and I don't know why I did that, but a few months prior to this, and I had added a bunch of authors to my LinkedIn. And one of those people was Jon Gordon. And when I was scrolling through my phone on LinkedIn, my thumb happened to land on Jon Gordon's profile. And this voice spoke to me so vivid. It's almost like it was so clear to me what I was supposed to do. But this voice said to me, I want you to continue to take risks. And at that moment, I knew exactly, even though that may sound weird to, people that are listening, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do at that time. And so I sent Mr. Gordon a quick message that said something like, "Hi, Mr. Gordon, I'm an elementary school principal. I would love to build curriculum around your book, The Energy Bus," because one of my teachers had introduced me to the book maybe a year prior to this. Because what I thought about, Chris, was that, it really wasn't the concepts that we were using from the book that had transformed the culture. It wasn't the concept themselves. What had transformed our culture was that we had aligned to the same values, the same goals, the same beliefs. And so we could replace that. It didn't have to be the concepts that we were using. We could replace this with something else. And so I thought about the energy bus, and I sent Mr. Gordon a quick message and introduced myself. And when I did that, I really thought I was kind of crazy. I didn't tell anybody that I sent that message, not even my husband. I was like, "That, Nikki, that's the craziest thing you ever done." But sent that message, went back to my LinkedIn page the following morning just to check in. And I had a message there from Mr. Gordon, and it said something like, "Thank you so much for caring. Send me a one-pager of your idea. Here is my cell phone number. Here is my email. We've been waiting on the right fit." And that last part, "we've been waiting on the right fit," spoke to me in a spiritual way, because like I said, culture has been, I've been fascinated with, the experience that we provide people, not just, in business, but in our homes, just in my family life, just the experience that we give to our kids, and everything matters. And I've been fascinated by that for a long time. So anyway, I went home. I couldn't wait to put together that one pager. I put together that one pager that night, got me a glass of wine, and I was just like typing away. I sent that one pager out, and I didn't hear from Mr. Gordon for a while. It was like 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, "Hey, you're supposed to call me."
Yeah.
And he didn't call me. And I remember sitting in a principal meeting, and I'm looking at my phone thinking, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "Well, he gave me his phone number. You might as well use it. He wouldn't give it to you if he didn't want you to use it." And so I texted him right there in the meeting, and I said something like, "This is Nikki, blah, 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 blah. Sent you a one pager." He said, "Hey, call me at 2:00 today." And I was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" So I got on the phone, and we talked a little bit, and we found that we had a lot in common. He asked me about my vision. He told me about his vision for schools, and we just hit it off really well. I ended up, after that call, flying down to Florida to meet him and to share with him what had happened, the transformation that had happened in my school, and my plans, what I plan to do with the book. And he said, "You know what, Nikki?" He said, "You can do this. However, I can't pay you." And I thought, what? I thought I was going to be a millionaire after that. I was like, what? So anyway, my husband and I discussed the opportunity, and, leaving my job, and what that would mean for our family. And my husband said, "Nikki, you know what?" He said, I think you should go for it." He said, "Because you can always come back to education and do, you can be a principal, teacher, whatever that is, but you may never get this opportunity again." So in July of 2016, I left my job as principal to dive into this, creating this framework for schools to sustain positive culture in their schools. And I started working on it nonstop. I mean, I feel like I'm always on now. That's one of the things about starting your own business, is that there are no hours. Some people ask me, "Nikki, do you ever close?" No, I don't. I'm quick to respond. I'm always on. And that first month, I was out there on Twitter sharing our message. Jon gave me a lot of tips, and he said, Nikki, you need to get out there and tour. You need to go on tour. You need to tell people what you're about. You need to, share with people what you're going to bring to their school. So we toured, and he would help me by putting the message on his page and letting people know that I was out there, and people just started coming. I only needed one school to sign up, because I said all we need is one model school to model the framework for us. And we ended up having 5 schools sign up by August. So I left my job in August I left my job in July. By August, we had 5 model schools sign up in Texas, South Carolina, Kentucky, Ohio, and I'm missing one, Arkansas. And so we had those 5 schools sign up, and it was just rolling. So today we have over 150 schools, and even more than that have been impacted by the Energy Bus, because not only do we go out and certify schools to become Energy Bus schools, but I'm a keynote speaker, so I do that now. So I'm doing a lot of different things, and this has opened up so many doors for me, and not only for me, but for the people that assist me on my journey. Has opened up a lot of doors for the people that assist me. So I'm just very blessed and thankful for this opportunity. I don't think it's a day that goes by that I don't wake up and I'm like in shock of what I'm doing. So
it's definitely I've definitely learned. I've been working from home in some capacity for 2006, so 4 years now, and almost 5 in some capacity. And there's always been that, oh, well, I'll do it when the girls go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it when the girls go to bed, and I'm going to now do it when I get up in the morning, or, okay, everybody is eating lunch like this morning. Everybody was eating lunch, and I was able to do it. And people are like, what? Why? You responded at 2:45 in the morning to this email? Well, yeah, because I'd woke up, I looked at my phone, I saw the email, and I responded to the email, or I commented on the post, or I did whatever. And it really doesn't, if you're working from home and you have a small business, even if you're not working from home, but if you have a small business of any sort, and you're on it, until the point where you can pay somebody else to be on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
that's not happening anytime soon around here. So I think you got a visitor.
I asked him to bring my charger. I'm so bad. Thank you. I asked him. That's Kermit. Say hi, Kermit.
Hello.
How you doing, sir? Nice to meet you.
My charger to my computer. I didn't charge my computer, and I said, look at this. I'm about to lose power. So I texted him and said, hey, can you bring me? There we go. There we go.
I'm going to use that. I'm trying to fix it.
Thank you, Kermit.
I got a little spot right there, but it's okay. My green screen's acting up on me. But, good job on him sweeping in with the charger there.
He's always there. He's always to the rescue. I can always count on Kermit.
One of the things that you've brought up multiple times so far, and I want you to explain it just a little bit to me. Explain, one, what you mean by culture in the school.
Okay.
And then explain why a positive culture is so important for the student learning.
Okay. Culture is such a broad term, and I'm happy you asked me that, because when I say that, I just assume that people know what I'm talking about. But culture is hard to explain because it's a feeling you get. It's a feeling you get when you meet people. It's a feeling you get when you walk into any establishment. But it's also those routines, those rituals that make you who you are. And so the way I define culture is that, first of all, we all come with our personal culture. And so each person has their own culture, their own set of values, goals, and beliefs. And then there's the organizational culture. And those things are what we share. So the only difference between a personal culture and the organizational culture is that my personal views and perceptions and attitudes are my own. Whereas when I go into an organization, these are the things that we share together as a team, as a school or district family. So that's what I mean when I say culture. And the reason why culture is important to learning is because when you think about when you're most creative, you're not in a space of fear of you're in a safe environment and you feel really creative. And so when we create a space, and when I go out and talk to schools and educators, teachers, whomever I'm talking to, I always say that schools are just not meant for kids. And sometimes we're misled that schools are just for kids. Schools are for everybody, and we all need to see ourselves as learners. And when we think about creating a culture, it's not just so kids feel safe, but it's also a culture or environment where adults feel safe, because we want adults to be creative, innovative, collaborative, to communicate openly and honestly. We want all of those things for all members, and not to forget our families. So everybody's part of that.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is. You know, the funny thing is, when I was a kindergarten teacher, I saw how all of this came to life, like really creating a culture where everybody felt a part of. And I remember all these parents being a part of my classroom, and my teachers that work with me would get upset and say, "Nikki, why do you always have these parents in your classroom?" But I put them to work. I mean, they felt a part of what was going on in what was taking place in the school, because I gave them the opportunity to learn with the students. And I didn't get a lot of pushback or when I was kindergarten teacher, I was in Austin, and I had parents that were very highly involved. And my parents, they kind of gave me my space because they appreciated so much what I was doing. And so because of that, we had a good partnership, and I was open for people to come in because I really did want them to see what was happening in the classroom.
It's amazing the impact a dedicated teacher will make on somebody.
Yes.
It is. I know we talked about it earlier a little bit, but my 5-year-old is on the spectrum, and she's been going to PPCD program through Conroe since like 15 days after she turned 3.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to identify it and get into the program, and we were just amazed at how fast the program worked. And the first time we found out, there was a little bit of breakdown in communication with the school, and the first time we found out that she was going, and when she was going, the bus driver had called and said, "Hey, we're going to be there to pick her up in the morning at 7:00."
What?
And my wife's like, "My baby's not getting on the school bus." And so she didn't get on the school bus, but she didn't go to school that week either. We waited a week because we had to adapt to what was going on.
Yeah.
But we were very, very lucky to have a very dedicated teacher.
Yeah.
Heather Bird is her name, and she has been with her now, going on 2.5 years, 2 years.
That's awesome.
Went from a little girl who barely talked to a little girl who won't stop talking, and she's had her ups and downs, and I'll text her in the morning, "Hey, we had a rough morning." "Okay, we had a rough morning." But the dedication that she has and the caringness that she has helped her and countless other students. And so having a dedicated teacher like yourself or Miss Bird, or I had a few dedicated teachers when I was a kid, makes an impact lifelong.
It really does.
And it's a thankless job that is way understaffed and underpaid for what's being done out there.
Yeah.
So tell me about the initiative and what exactly it does for schools. What does the Energy Bus do for a school district?
Okay. So for those people who have not read The Energy Bus by Jon Gordon, the book is about a guy named George who is in the beginning very negative. He has become very negative, and he's had this dark cloud hovering over him for several years. And this negativity has impacted him personally and professionally, because we learn early on that he's on the verge of losing his job. He's on the verge of losing his marriage. And on this Monday morning, he wakes up to a flat tire. So he's devastated. And we know how many of us hate Monday mornings anyway. So he wakes up to a flat tire, and he has a very important meeting to get to. And his wife is like, I'm not, no, you can't use my car. He's thinking of all these people who could possibly come by and take him to work. And the last person he considers is his wife. But his wife says to him that he's going to have to take the bus. And so he gets to the bus stop, and he has to walk to the bus stop, and he gets to the bus stop, and there's Joy, the bus driver. And Joy is exactly as her name depicts. She's this jovial character with these big wide eyes. And she's just so joyful. And you can imagine grumpy George getting on that bus with Joy, and he's just confused. Like, why are you so happy? You're a bus driver. But what he realizes right away, walking onto that bus, just like when you walk into an energy bus school, is that this bus is different from any bus. This is not your regular bus here. This bus was called the energy bus. And the reason why it was called the energy bus is because every passenger that got on Joy's bus, she took the time to teach them 10 rules that would transform their lives. So what we did with the energy bus for schools is we looked at those rules, which we call principles, on the energy bus, because rules are restrictive and we don't use rules in school anymore. Principles, norms, expectations are more expansive. And so we chose principles. We selected 7 principles for our energy bus school. And just like Joy does on the energy bus, we teach all of our passengers those 7 principles that will transform their lives. And so those 7 principles, we give our schools, our teachers, some activities to do in the classroom. But a lot of times what's so beautiful about the energy bus is that it's really not a cookie cutter type of program. And I hate to say program, because as soon as you say program, people shut down. It's a journey. What's different about our journey is that our schools take these principles and they use them in so many unique ways. So even though our common language or common practices are the 7 principles, if you walk into 3 different energy bus schools, you're going to see 30 different things going on in each of those schools. It's like they take it and make it their own. Okay. It's not like we tell them you must do this and you have to meet this deadline. They take it and it's theirs. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is because it's not ours. Because if I were to create everything for them, it would feel like something you have to do. But because they get to create it, it feels like, oh, this is something we get to do. And so it's really a transformation of your mindset and transformation of each person in the building. Because if we can talk, if we want to change culture, it's really transformation of self and having each person look at themselves first before pointing the finger at somebody else. Because what happens in our schools a lot of times, there's a lot of blaming and complaining, and there's a lot of negativity in our schools. And so if we want to see something different in the classroom, the adults need to model something different. And that's basically what Energy Bus is about, is holding people accountable for their behaviors and for their actions, and to really reflect on, how am I showing up each day? And am I modeling these principles for my students?
You know, when we were sitting there talking, I was thinking about this afternoon. I was fixing to make a cup of coffee, and after talking to you and after after watching, I watched a couple of your YouTube videos that are on your channel. I was like, if I have this cup of coffee and then I sit there and I talk to Nikki for an hour, I'm not going to be able to sleep. The energy that you put into your work and the energy that you put off, I mean, even through the internet, is just amazing and outstanding. So I just wanted to give you that compliment.
That's sweet. A lot of people tell me, I love your I don't feel like I'm energetic. I think what comes across, which is probably my energy, is my passion for what I do. But when I think about energy, I think about people like, that kind of energy. And I'm just so like, I feel like sometimes because I'm energy bust, I need to be like, rah! But people always tell me, I love your energy. I love the energy you bring. And I'm like, really? Okay. Well, thank you.
It's the passion. It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you. I am. I love what I do. I really do feel like God created me for this work. And I believe truly that everyone is created to do something. And when you can find your passion and your purpose, it's the most amazing experience. And I'm not saying I don't have my days where I have my doubts or my fears, but for the most part, I know that this is what God intended for me to do. So I'm just grateful.
If you go back, if you have time, I don't know if you ever listen to podcasts or not, go back and listen to my Common Grounds episode 1, where I talked to my buddy Jeff from Hebrews Coffee.
Okay.
And you will, in the first 45 seconds in that interview, you're going to be like, what did he just say? It's just amazing story. And he has that energy as well.
Wow.
He has that passion. And being able to go in to an environment like you're in with schools. I come from a pretty good training background when I was in the military. My last 3 years was spent as a drill sergeant at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So that was, taking a group of 60 kids and young adults, if not older adults in some instances, and you only had 10 weeks to transfer everything over to them. And we definitely had a culture. You had a culture in your platoon, and you had a culture in your company, and even to the battalion level. But the better your culture was, the more passion you had for it, the better those kids, those adults picked up that information. And you always picked up the like I always did the marksmanship portion of the training because I was really passionate about it. And the passion carries over.
Yes.
And people will much rather listen to somebody who's really passionate about a subject than somebody who's, so today we're going to talk about, I already talk slow, so I've got to make up for it somehow. I've got to get some energy somewhere. So when you do this initiative with schools, how does that impact their environment? You've talked about it a little bit, but what have you seen measurable? What can you say on the analytics side of it? Okay, we were here, and now what's that end state? What type of results you getting?
Well, some of our schools, and we have a report. I'm sorry, I should have pulled that up. When we went in, and I think we had someone do a survey in 2018, I believe, and that report came back and said that most of our schools were seeing results with peer-to-peer relationships, teacher-to-student relationships, principal-to-teacher relationships. They talked about improving discipline. Discipline had improved, and we've heard that across the board from a lot of our schools. We've heard that attendance for both students and staff had improved. So those are the kind of things. And not only that, just the enthusiasm to come to school, and you spend a lot of time at work, you spend a lot of time at school. So it's important that you enjoy it. And a lot of our schools report that they enjoy coming to work. They enjoy coming to school. So those are some of the things we've heard from our Energy Bus schools.
So yeah, if they're enjoying the fact that they're going to work, then that is a total difference in the product that they're able to put out. I mean, that's, if you're enjoying it, the product's going to be better. That's
Right.
amazing. That's good. So how do schools sign up? What do they have to do? How does that process work?
Okay, so usually they contact us. Usually that they will visit the website that you have down there. They'll fill out a connect form, and one of our team members will be in touch with them to give them a phone call, kind of give them an overview of what Energy Bus is all about. A lot of the people who contact us have heard of Jon Gordon, his books, have read books, but we are getting people now that will contact us and they've heard about other Energy Bus schools in the area and want to know, how do we bring some of that positive energy into our school? And so then we take them, give them an overview and take them through the process. There are 3 steps to get on the Energy Bus. We do an onboarding with our teams. That means we meet with them and give them a year at a glance, what it's going to look like. And we kind of plan that out together, what it's going to look like. Step 2 would be they attend a leadership tour. That's something my husband and I do together with the leaders, and we provide the leaders with a framework, what they need to do at their level as leaders of the organization. And then step 3 would be for me or one of my fabulous trainers to come out and conduct the training with the entire staff. And we always ask for the entire staff to be present, including the custodial staff, cafeteria staff, assistants, because it's important that everyone feels a part of what's going on. When we talk about transformation of culture, it's not just one group of people, it's everyone. So those are our 3 steps to get on the Energy Bus.
That's one of my my number one. Well, actually, my number 2 fan. I'm going to get in trouble, but number 1, my number 1 fan is actually my mother-in-law, and she's amazing. I want to just say, Elsa, if you're watching, which I know you probably are, thank you. But my wife has now, she's got 3 comments up here, and I didn't have my comments turned on, so I'm going to pull up my wife's first point here. She says, what an inspiring story. Alignment in a corporate culture, language, expectations, goal setting, codes of conduct. That's the norm. What an amazing concept to bring that alignment to a school setting.
Aw, thank you.
She's on here and she says, what's the ratio between private and public schools who subscribe to the Energy Bus principles?
That's a good question. We don't have a lot of private schools on board. I may have a couple of private schools, like charter schools. No, I don't. Most of our schools are public schools.
Okay. Yeah, we're right here. John Cooper here in the Woodlands is just a couple miles from the house, and we have friends that we've got a coach.
Well, we got to get them on the Energy Bus.
We got to get them on the Energy Bus. And the next one here, she's a champ here. She says, in my profession, I find it's very important to start with the common definitions and terminology. If you don't know what you're talking about at the same time, same things, then it's much harder to collaborate and move toward common goals. It sounds like that's a cornerstone in this program as well.
Yes. And that's the magic of it all, is just the common, another thing we stress is understanding your mission and vision statement, and it shouldn't just be a statement. It should really, you should live by that. Those are your agreements. And my husband always says you need to be a guardian of the mission statement. That's what we do. But when I go out and speak to, leaders, no one knows. A lot of people don't know what their mission statement is, but it truly is. It helps people understand, am I on the right bus? Mm-hmm. I mean, because who gets on a bus and you don't know where you're going? Because that's the mission tells you why you exist. Your vision tells you where your bus is going. And a lot of our employees, we don't take the time to communicate that over and over and over again, because it's not just communicating it, it's for them to understand, what does it look like in action? And so we stress that a lot in our schools, that what is you got to communicate that. And how do you communicate that? Not only to your team and your educators, but how do we communicate that to our students? Because that's how we start to align our values, attitudes, and beliefs, because now we know where we're going.
We got. I think this is one of your fans here. One of your followers popping up.
Yes.
Suzanne.
Hi,
She's
Suzanne.
agreeing with you. She's agreeing with you. She says yes. So I love this platform and being able to do this. I'm glad my wife texted me and said turn on the comments because I didn't have them turned
She's
on.
awesome, by the way. I want to meet her.
Oh, you will.
Talked about her today. I was like, yeah, we need to meet.
She should be a guest spot on here, but I don't. She's kind of a tough cookie to interview. She definitely keeps me in line.
That's great.
Sure. What other projects do you have? What are you working on right now?
Well, I am writing right now. I'm excited. I am writing. I just finished a kid's book that I can't wait to put out there, and it's inspired. I'm inspired by my granddaughter, and so she's the main character in these stories I'm going to be writing. As a little girl, I struggled with negative thoughts. I just think I was a habitual thinker. I mean, always thinking, but a lot of my thoughts were not good thoughts about myself or about the world around me. And I've learned on my journey how to transform that and how to look at things in a more positive way and look at myself, value the things that I bring to the table. And it's just been amazing just changing this up here, how it changes everything around you. And if I could reach kids and give them that message, that's so powerful, because I know a lot of kids struggle with that as well. I mean, even as an adult, it's not like it goes away. It's something you deal with. And I deal with that, but I know how to manage it now, And so anyway, I'm excited about writing. I am speaking a lot more. People are inviting me out to do these keynotes, and that's been I'm thrilled when I go into a school or a district and I get a chance to get on stage and share my message and my passion with others. I get thrilled about that. So those are a lot of things. And then I'm working with my daughter. She's coming up with her own little business, Positive Kids Today, and see the positivity is spreading throughout the family. And so I'm working with her and helping her out. And so I have a lot of stuff going on. I don't even know how to keep all of it together, but I do.
Schedules, Excel spreadsheets.
Thank God for my calendar.
Yeah. If it was, I'm almost to the point where, everything I send out, I send out in calendars. Here, pick a time.
Right.
If it's on there, pick a time. Don't text me that you want to do it at this time. No, pick a time on the calendar. Do it. Suzanne said hello.
Hello, Suzanne.
She did say hello.
Dory. She's at Dory Miller.
Where's that at?
In Ennis. Is it Ennis?
Okay.
I always say it wrong. Ennis, Texas.
Ennis, Texas.
And she is fabulous, by the way. Hoping to get her on board the team. I'm hoping to bring her on the energy bus.
Awesome. And then my wife's already claiming you she says y'all are already friends. So we just have to meet now.
So we'll just meet. You're my new bestie.
That sounds like a lot of trouble for me. That sounds like a lot of trouble. But she's amazing. And she's, I'm going to talk a little bit about her for a second.
Okay.
Every morning she gets up and every morning she tells my daughter, she has a list of words of affirmation.
What?
Yes. And it's just absolutely amazing. I'm going to get teared up here
to
watch her tell her every day, she's amazing. She's smart. She's powerful. She's strong, and she's beautiful.
That is
it's just
so
something
cool.
that
is so important. Boy, you guys are rocking it. I watch my daughter, Chris, with my grandbaby, and some of the things I see that she does, I said, man, I wish I knew that, I wish I had known that. But that is so powerful to get up, every day and remind your kids, because I'm telling you, the world around us tells a different story.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to penetrate the things that's here. And for your parents to tell you that every single day, that message becomes more powerful than anything else that could be outside of you. So that I would encourage everybody to do that.
And my 2-year-old's already got it down. She's like, I'll tell her, I'm like, baby, you don't fit in that. It's too small. No, Chawi, perfect. Yes, I know. I know Charlie's perfect, but Charlie will not fit in 18-month clothes, baby. Charlie, perfect. Okay.
That is so sweet. Yeah, I got to meet the girls too. That is too cute. That's right. She is perfect.
They are perfect. They are perfect.
Yes, they are. We all are perfect. We are all perfect.
I love to foster that strength in them. And one of the things I've got from my background, I had a girl one time. I'm going to get choked up on this one. We're going to get tears going.
That's okay.
But I had a girl that went through basic training, and she struggled the whole time. She probably had some sort of learning disability that had never been diagnosed or whatever. And she tried and she tried and she tried. And the day of graduation, I asked her, I was like, hey, I want to meet your parents. They didn't come.
Wow.
I mean, that's, they
yeah.
didn't think she could do it.
Yeah.
And she did it.
Wow.
So here I am.
There you go. Well, that's
Here
okay. I mean, that's okay. I think it's so cool. And I tell my husband, I think the best thing that we can share with one another is our vulnerability and being able to just show them. I'm a very emotional person, and being able to show my emotions. My kids get on me all the time, like, Mama, you're just so sensitive. But I am. But that's part of what makes me who I am. I know that if I wasn't sensitive, I wouldn't have the radar to help people the way that I do, you know. So everything about us, we're wired in this way for a reason. And when you find out how to use that gift that you have, because I believe that that's a gift, when you have the ability to be vulnerable and share emotion, that's a gift. And so when you find ways to use that in a positive way, then you're on your way to finding purpose. And that's what life is all about, is living your best life.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll go. We got some more comments from our fan club here. Suzanne, she come up. She says, "Aw."
Yes. That's one of the chants we do on the energy bus. I teach people chants before they board the energy bus. I teach them 2 chants, so the audience will go, so are you guys ready to create the culture of your dreams? And the audience will say, yes, yes, yes. And then the next chant I teach them is, I'll say, I'm going to check in with you every so often, and I'm going to ask you, so how are you feeling right now? And I want you to say, I feel great. Yes. And they get energized by that. So they know that's my thing. I always say, yes, 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 or I feel great. Yes. And I tell them to say that when they go out to the grocery store or something, they're running errands and someone says, so how are you feeling? You say, I feel great. Yes. Because it's all about what you tell yourself.
Yep.
If you say, I'm tired, if you say, oh, I just don't want to be here, then guess what? That's the way you feel. But when you tell yourself, oh man, I feel awesome, I feel great, then that energy comes, right?
It's all about the not the energy, the passion.
Yes, there you go. See, so, now I'm feeling my energy come through.
There we go. My wife says, I can't wait to read your book. We work very hard to establish positive thoughts in our girls to start their days. I figure that we can train behaviors, and then we can train positive thoughts. I know that they're learning those positive thoughts too, because we are now hearing them repeat them to themselves and each other.
Oh my God. I'm just so impressed by that. My daughter is doing the same thing with her little girl. And I'm just like, gosh, you know, if we had known these things, you know, growing up, I mean, I'm older, so I was young when I had my girls. I didn't know a whole lot of what I know right now, you know, with learning and how it's so important the way we feel about ourselves. I wish I had known all these things, but hey, I do it now. You know, I shower my girls every time I see them. I don't care how big they are. They're always my babies. So I just kiss on them and love on them and let them know how great they are.
My girls left today to we had speech therapy and OT for the oldest one. And one had a tutu on and a tank top. And the 5-year-old had unicorn horn, horse Pegasus wings, and a tail as we left. And, you know, sometimes we get out of vehicles and they're dressed like that, and I'll get a side eye, and I'm like, pick your battles. And
Right,
they're happy
exactly.
and they're proud. And she's walking down the hall, and this is a girl who was not talking near where she should be 2 years ago, and she's getting there now. And she'll walk down the hall. Hi, how are you? This is my daddy. This is my Charlie. And it doesn't matter. And she talks to everyone, and I mean, that level of confidence is amazing.
You know, I've learned to I have a 19, well, she's going to be 19 on March 7, and she's in college. I did things a little bit different with her because I knew a lot. I knew a lot then. I knew more than what I knew with my twin girls. And one thing I did with her is I didn't focus on the negative or what I perceived could have been negative. So when it came to people like eye rolling or I never pointed that out to her. And so she goes through life feeling just so happy because she's learned. See, sometimes parents, we teach kids to focus on the negative when we're constantly pointing out, oh, look at how they're looking at us, or look at this.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is you're really teaching them to look at and to pay attention to what other people say that may be negative, and then to care about that. I never did that with her. So she goes through life, and she doesn't see some of the things I see, and I make sure I don't point that out to her. Even if I see some ugliness or perceived ugliness, I don't point it out, you know, because unless it's important, it's going to save her life. But really, a lot of times it's not necessary to do.
So my co-host now, says, I love that. The vulnerability and sensitivity could be tough in the school setting. Love that you're channeling that into facilitating these big structural changes across so many schools. Thanks for using great big words, babe. This is going to impact so many lives.
She's so sweet. I love you. I'm going to tell you, after I do a speaking engagement, I think this is how I know this is where God intended me for me to be. I will get teachers, I'll get people that come up and they're crying, and they're telling me, thank you so much for the message. And sometimes I'm like, what did I say? Oh my God, what happened? And I'm kind of like used to it now, not to say that I'm bragging about it, but it's gotten to a point now where if it doesn't happen, I question like what just happened. But people are so transformed by the message that it really keeps me going, and it keeps me humble because before every event I have, I don't care, even tonight, I pray and I ask God to make it about Him and not about me, and just to use me to speak His word or whatever I need to do. And each time I have an amazing time with people. It's like, now I can't wait I used to be this shy person. I hated to get up in a staff meeting and talk to my team. And now I can't wait to get on stage again and talk to people.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Fun. I love being able to get on here and meet people and share stories just like we've had over the past hour.
It's been an hour?
Almost. We're at 53 minutes right now.
Are you kidding?
I told you we wouldn't have a problem talking. I told you that we wouldn't have a problem talking.
Wow.
This is it's a great platform to facilitate sharing of a story. It really is. And I've always been a talker. I've always engaged people when not necessarily in a public method like this, as an interview, but I've always enjoyed conversing with people. And I think that goes back to my grandpa. And he was always had people around him, always was telling stories, always was talking to anybody in the line at Kroger or wherever we're at. He was always engaging. And I think it's a very important thing that we're lacking today, but I'm using that to spread the message. I'm using the platform.
I love it. I love it, Chris. I love the common grounds. I love all of it. I love it. You'll have to have me back when I finish my books. I want to come back and talk about that.
Oh, for sure. And then she says, please don't stop. And she's got the clappy hands going.
I love you, Christina.
We got, what advice would you give to other small business owners?
You gotta be a hustler. I mean, it's not gonna fall into your laps, and you can't be crying because somebody hung up or they didn't answer your call. You gotta be tough. And when people contact me, like on my like, say for instance, I get a text right now, I'm gonna text you right back. Sometimes I scare people, like, oh my God, I'll answer the phone and they're like, oh my God, I didn't expect you to answer. Oh yeah, I'm gonna answer because there's competition out there, okay? And so I want to, even when I was a principal, I would when I get up in the middle of the night and work, I think everybody else is asleep. I'm gonna get ahead of the game right here, And so what I want other people to know, when you're starting a business, nothing is easy, and it's a lot of hard work. But if you have to be up for the challenge. And there has to be no fear. You have to go into it being really courageous and not feeling sorry for yourself when things don't work out.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
You gotta hunker down. You've got to figure out what's not working, and you got to fix it. And that's what I really like about kind of being my own boss with the coffee and everything. Is, hey, this isn't working. I got a really nice compliment on the podcast when I first launched. They said, hey, Chris, this is awesome. There's nobody else doing interviewing roasters. This is super niche. You've got it on lock. I was like, well, that's not going to do what I need it to do.
You have to keep evolving.
That's not going to do what I need it to do. I need to talk to people. I need to talk to people that don't know about coffee roasting.
Yeah.
So what advice would you want to give somebody if they're considering leaving a job to start their own business?
People come to me and ask me, when did I know? You have to know yourself. No one else can tell you, because what's going to happen if I tell you, or Chris, if you tell someone, then they blame you when things don't work out. So it needs to be your decision, and you just have to. I feel like everybody could have their own business. You just have to have the guts to do it and to leave. I call this my world without walls. It's like, it's amazing. I know it's scary, but the opportunities are limitless.
My wife says you definitely found your calling. I'm so inspired. I hope my daughter's school signs up.
We're bringing the energy bus to your kids' school, even if I have to just go there and read a book. I love to. Oh, that's another thing I do, Chris. I dress up as Joy, the bus driver, with a tutu, with my bus driver hat.
Okay, the hat. That makes sense now.
I do pep rallies with the kids. So I'll have to come do one for your girls' school. That's the way I'll get in the door.
And then she says, I love it when people tell me no. It means I found the right starting point for the negotiation. I wouldn't exactly call it a negotiation. Okay, that's what it is. Negotiation makes sense. And there she goes. Yes, she does.
Susan is staying around. I'm so proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. And one last thing here. What do you want people to remember about you?
Oh, wow. I want to feel that I changed the world in some way, that I shared positive energy and transform people, transform culture. And when they hear Nikki Spears, they hear something like, you're awesome, you're the best, you rock. Because that's what I say. That's before I start any presentation. That's what I have the audience say, you're awesome, you're the best, you rock. And that's what I tell myself every single day, is that I'm so awesome. And I hope everybody out there realize how awesome they are.
Well, Nikki, thank you so much for coming on the show. I was we have a friend, my cousin. She's your friend. So Veronica told me, she's like, hey, I've got somebody, I'm going to get her on your show. She's awesome. Y'all are going to have a great time. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what am I supposed to talk to an educator about? Like, wow, this is going to be difficult. She's like, no, you'll be fine. Just talk to Nikki, you'll know. And when you signed up without me having to do it, you signed up for the podcast. I was like,
I'm a go-getter.
Awesome.
See, she was
Awesome.
trying to hook you up with my husband, and he was taking too long. I was like, "Hey, Veronica, look, I'm right here, girl. What's up?"
Send
And
him the
she's like,
calendar.
"Okay, here you go. Why don't you sign up?"
Send him the calendar link because I got to take off some stuff. But next week, that leads me into my outro here. So next week I have lined up. Let me pull it up here. I'm really excited about this one. Let me find it on my list so I can get the names right. Well, okay. I'm just going to have to wing it because I can't pull it up here. So next week, next Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m., I'm going to be interviewing Lance. So Lance was on Chopped Kitchen on the Food Network a couple weeks ago. He made his appearance. He owns a restaurant and butcher shop, I believe, in East Texas, up in Tyler. See, this is
Tyler, Texas. That's my home. Lance is.
Yep.
He probably knows where Karnak is.
He probably does. He probably does. But he's got a cool story to tell. The Kevin Bacon game. So where we're separated, he was deployed to Iraq with the same guys I was deployed to Iraq in 2005, 2006. I was deployed with them in 2006, 2007, 2008. So we have shared friends. We've just never met. But he's doing some amazing stuff, and I'm a huge foodie. You'll find that out. You'll have to come over for dinner some night, and we'll have to have.
We can make that work, Chris.
Yeah.
For sure.
So he's on next week. We'll talk to him about his adventures that he's having. He's won some barbecue competitions, some different cook-offs and stuff up around Dallas, but was on Chopped here a couple weeks ago. I've got that going on. I should have another Meet the Roaster program this week. I had one last night, so I might be able to get away with it, not having one the rest of the week. But we're doing so much cool stuff with Roasters Marketplace, expanding with this Common Grounds podcast. We're going to hit 70 downloads tomorrow, probably on the podcast, and over 3,000 minutes have been watched of my podcast so far. Thank you.
Keep it up, Chris. This is great. And I think what I like, I don't know if I can jump and give you some good feedback, but what I love is it gave me, because I don't do a lot of podcasts, so it gave me the hour gave me enough time to really warm up and get in, feel good, with the conversation. And I love the conversation, the way it's going, the way we just kind of just talk and just natural. And so it feels good. So you made me feel really comfortable. The culture on your show is a 10. Let me just give you that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You have to tune into a couple of them and go back. We had my buddy who does Texas country music, does some blues rock and stuff. I had him on last week, and it was a fun time. In that show, at least when I cried, I was off camera and he was playing, so it wasn't that public. When I got emotion on there, but I really appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And so we'll leave that and be done with the broadcast here. I've got to do a couple things on the back end to close us out. But Nikki, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you coming.
I really appreciate you. I can't wait to talk more. This is only the beginning.
And how can people get in touch with you one more time?
They can contact me at www.energybusschools.com. Click connect.
We got some good comments on this one. So thank you so much once again. And we'll end it right here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody out there. You're land. Appreciate it. And this is the Common Grounds podcast brought to you by roastersmarketplace.com.
Awesome.